Can you actually sing?
No.
It sounds like you go to church though. All church people can do something.
Exactly.
Something. Just a little bit.
Oh my God.
You know how to harmonize. If you go to church,
I
I used to
out.
do solos at church, but
choir. Okay, choir.
Yeah, but then I'm not anymore.
I feel like if you can do solos at church, then
No,
You
church
can
be
sing.
letting everybody sing. They let me
But also
do
that-
everybody do solos.
Yeah.
Wales Church used to let anybody up
They
there.
let everybody
solo. I did a
sing.
solo and I was like, do I have to?
Yeah.
And all the old women at church like, you did so good, baby.
They be like, take your time. Don't let
That's
you
how
mess
you know.
up.
Bruh.
I sang the same verse twice. It wasn't supposed to be sang twice. I sang the whole song.
Oh my gosh.
But the second service, I got it because they put the lyrics up for me.
That's
Oh my God.
The first service,
dead.
I just sang the same verse. I was like, I know this verse.
Bruh.
No.
But
Oh, that's how it was in my. So I feel like I told you I took a singing class.
No, you did not tell me.
Okay, so I took a singing class
bruh.
in college because I was like, I just need an extra credit. So it was so embarrassing because it was maybe 10 of us in there, and the teacher was like, I can teach anybody how to sing, except if you tone deaf. If you tone deaf, I can't teach you. So she has us start singing. You know, the words are on the screen. All of us are singing, and she's like, somebody tone deaf in here. And I was like, I sweat so bad. So she's walking around the room as we're all singing, stopping at each desk listening. She stops in between me and the boy beside me. And I was, if I ain't start crying right there, like,
Please don't let it be me.
and then she like whispered to him, like, see me after class. He ain't come back.
not see me after
How did
class.
she?
That's
So
crazy.
she could hear him over everybody else.
I guess
He was
so.
off pitch.
He was.
Yeah,
Must
like-
sounded like it.
So, but we had
Aw.
to sing in Italian every
Oh.
time.
Mm.
Like, in my butt, I was like, I got other stuff to study for. I don't need to. I ain't know none of the songs. And then it was always a solo. That was like your test.
Mm-mm.
I got a B in the class, and people would be like, "How you get a B in singing?" I'm like, because I can't speak Italian. Like,
Yeah.
non lo dirò con la
Why were you? Why Italian? Was she Italian?
Che tanto a dir non ha. Non lo dirò
I didn't know he
con
took singing.
labro.
I do remember that.
Non lo
What year was
dirò
that?
con labro.
It was in freshman year.
I don't know. No, it was later on. I was
Yeah.
on 2020. Che tanto
2020?
a dir no ha.
2020.
It's something for work.
Oh,
Ugh.
I'm like, we weren't in school in 2020.
I was. That's crazy.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah.
when you graduated.
Yeah. On YouTube. Yeah.
Poor baby.
I know. No prom.
Poor
I bought my
baby.
dress. I had bought my prom dress. And then they were like, yeah, so we're not having a prom.
Mm.
But other schools had a prom, so I could have had a prom. But
But that's when COVID was deadly.
they were still having proms.
I know, and it was still deadly.
Yes. But I was like, come on, we can't be outside with masks on. I would have the cutest. We could have made it a masquerade.
Mm.
A masquerade. I just thought that would have been so cute. But yeah, I had to return my dress. And
Aw.
yeah.
I was
Okay.
gonna talk about how my person told me at the meeting that she could tell I was a church kid.
Oh.
So in our meeting on Tuesday, apparently, and I don't realize I do it. I'd be like, yeah, like in a
Oh, girl,
meeting.
You always do that.
Exactly. So to me, I'm just like, oh, this is just who I am. It's what I do. So people are quiet, but I'm like, if there's a point I agree with, I'm gonna speak up.
Yeah.
And so we were having our like wrap up meeting the next day, and she was like, do you go to church? And mind you, she's not a black woman. So she just asked me, do you go to church? And I'm like, I mean, we're like in the process of looking, yada yada. She's like, no, because you remind me of like old school church, because you were just speaking up and letting me know, like giving me reactions, and nobody else was doing that. She's like, it just reminds me of like old school church. I'm like, well, first of all, what do you know about old school black church? Second of all, yes, I am a church kid. And I did not realize.
Southern Baptists, but white people, they do it too. Because we are in the same conference. Well, my old church used to be in the same conference. And when the white people came, they still did the
I was
stuff.
about to
I
say,
can believe it.
her
I can
next
believe it.
line was like, "This my husband Jerome."
No, we actually work with her husband. She was like, I used to go to mass, but she's like, I've been to like my friends' churches, and like she's seen that experience. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you could see that was my background. Didn't realize I was doing it, but I also will not stop. Because
because at first I figured it was a non.
yeah, because nobody else would call that out, really.
I was interested in where this was going. I was like, is it giving microaggression? Like, was that racially motivated? Like, what is it giving? Like, what is it giving?
Like, why would you bring that up?
Why would you bring that up? Because I was like, how did she point that out? But yeah, I think we do things we don't even realize. Because
yes, it's very
culture.
culturally different.
Yeah, the culture.
Yeah. A previous church I went to, they were like, "You're really loud during service." I'm like, "Excuse me, what? Loud? What do you mean by loud?" But yeah,
Worship to yourself.
No, really loud.
Worship in my space.
like if we agree with the message, we don't speak up. Like let the pastor preach. Like
they do that at my church, which is crazy.
Yes, look, girl, we get it.
Yeah, like, be quiet.
I
heard. Like for real. And like when people be shouting and stuff, like in my church, they be like, "What are you doing? Like, stop it. You're doing too much." But I mean, people do express how they want to express.
Exactly. Let people express themselves.
Express how they want to express.
Why are you mad at me? That's what I want to know. I'm having my personal time with God. What you doing? Why you up in our business?
It's a podcast, it's a video, and more.
Okay.
Welcome back to another episode of We GRWN.
Question mark?
I'm your host, Sean. Moyo's in that corner this time. Here's Jess, and we got a special guest. This is Jasmine. Jasmine, how do I explain Jasmine?
Oh God.
Jasmine used to work for me. I guess in a way like that, yeah. So we've moved past that now. You know, she got a new job. So now I say it's more like a mentoring relationship.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's really like a mentoring relationship. You know, if a person were to listen to their mentor.
Yeah. If I listen.
We'll get more into that.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
So, as you know, we always start with the same thing. So first things first. What had you feeling grown?
I had to pay car insurance for the first time. And oh my, it is ghetto. But it's okay because I'm ahead. As long as I'm not behind, we're good. But my car insurance is as much as my car payment.
Car insurance
Surprised
is ridiculous.
It's not more.
Me too.
No, my friend, he told me his is way more.
You
His
already
insurance
started
is way
there
more.
saying his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 21,
Let's start there.
black man. Yeah.
And it also depends on the kind of car too.
And it's that kind of car.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the car.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, but I was so proud. I came home, like I got paid, and I came home and I told my grandmother, I was like, guess what I did? I paid my car insurance. One time.
Not on time.
She was like, oh my God. I was like, you're not excited enough.
She's been paying car insurance for 50 years.
Okay. Yeah. This is huge. Like, come on. Be excited for me.
You gotta
Big
celebrate the small
So
wins,
excited.
the big wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are big
I
wins
mean,
to
you
her.
have a car, so
And yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I guess that had me feeling going. I bought a car, but
Come on, car insurance, pay.
yeah, not excited for the payments. But it's okay. We'll get there. I'm excited to have the car.
There you go. It's
True.
your car.
It's
Yes.
your car.
Mom can't take it from me.
And you got everything that you wanted in this car.
Yeah. I added a sunroof. It wasn't a sunroof in the car initially, but I got one put in.
Listen,
I
you
didn't
can
even know that
customize
was a
it.
thing.
Listen, okay.
Like,
I didn't know I could get one cut up in my. Okay, I did not know that.
You can get whatever you want in a car. I got heated seats. The only
They-
thing you can't get is ventilated seats, but you can, but they just got like put holes in your stuff.
yes, the Teslas, the new versions coming out soon are gonna have that.
They don't have it now.
Right. That is what
Tesla
I
is
said.
crazy to me because when I got in Sean's car, I was expecting a lot. And it wasn't. It wasn't. I was like, this is what y'all paying for?
Don't-
Y'all don't have standard
You said
stuff.
no to me.
Don't get me started. My RAV4 has some like the stuff in it. I'm like, this is what I expect it to be. In my
Yes.
car.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's not giving.
They too
It's not-
expensive to not have basic.
The
You're
basic-
paying.
but-
You're paying for the name.
Expensive is relative.
It is
but
relative.
It's relative.
It's relative, but
I think the hype too. It's like people are expecting
You're
to
paying
get
for the
into
name.
spaceship
Exactly.
and be like, I'm in the
So-
future, not I'm
Exactly.
in the past.
And John and I talk about this all the time. Many times people think that Tesla is a luxury car.
that's exactly
it's
what
not.
I was gonna say.
It's not a luxury car. It's just an electric car.
which
I-
is a
but
luxury.
But they
For some people.
advertised
I mean,
it that way. They
Yeah.
put themselves in that.
Yes.
That's how they
Yes.
marketed it.
Yeah.
And I think before, I think the other models, the more expensive model is a luxury car. But
Oh.
like the
The base ones aren't.
like the 3, the Y, those aren't luxury cars.
I feel like they kind of, maybe they didn't start out like that, but I think they were pushing to be more of a luxury, because like you'll see them featured in certain shows, and the shows that they're featured in, like I think we were watching Suits, and of course in Suits they have like one of their highest paying clients like looking at Teslas, so it's like, hey, look, the rich can afford Teslas.
Exactly.
So it's like
Exactly.
trying to get to that space, but I personally don't know if their infrastructure and software inside when it comes to like user experience is really up to the par that they're trying to be
And
at.
I think it was. I mean, I think it is. Just depends on the model that you get.
That's fair.
Because
That's fair.
I think the one on Suits that you're gonna see is gonna be.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
But
like
then they came out with
Yeah.
like the 3, which is a car that people can afford.
yeah, the
So,
economic one.
like that starts at 35.
Yeah.
So then you're like, okay, this is what other cars
Yeah,
cost.
Yeah.
So
Not,
of course,
but other cars that cost 35.
some.
So
Because
you could
I
get a
can
fully loaded.
Yeah, I could get a fully loaded something
Yes.
else that's the same amount of seats,
Mhm.
and it'll be way better.
Yeah.
It's all overrated. I mean, it's really like my friend told me he was gonna get a Tesla, and I was like, "Dad, you got money." But then he was like, they cost as much as like a Toyota, depending on the Toyota. you get.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm waiting for
I was like,
Toyota to come out with
oh.
this, or one that I would like.
Oh yeah, they do have one that's
They
gonna
have
come
one-
out looking
yeah.
like the RAV4.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's
I
less.
debated on
It's less
waiting.
space though, like between the trunk and the end, and also the back seat. It's a little shorter, but I'm like,
Mhm.
y'all keep going. When it starts self driving, then I'll trade in, swap out.
Big baller.
I was gonna say self-driving. My God,
I know. That's nerve wracking.
it is.
It's very nerve wracking.
It's a little helpful though.
Yes, I'm.
I'm not completely hands off, but at least
Yeah,
like, bro, I'm not about to sit here.
That's what Tesla drivers do. Tesla drivers are one of two extremes. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry. Either it's in self-driving and it's going 5 miles an hour on a highway, or they're texting, or they go 150 miles an hour down
Mhm.
a highway,
Sound like
darting
somebody
in
we
and out.
know.
Mm.
I don't know who you're talking about.
The man who said, "Watch this."
I was giving you an experience.
He was doing a
Oh,
demo.
It
Oh
was
my
just
God.
a demo. Just a demo.
Yeah, I
told
feel
you
like
to put your
he
head back.
drives. He
You
drives
said put
sleep.
your
He
head
drives better now.
I'm
When
a
we met
worldly
Sean,
man. I'm secular now.
Oh my
I've traveled the world. Now I see how people really are supposed to drive.
Oh my gosh.
I've escaped Maryland for a little bit.
well, when we met Sean, he used to try to kill us. He was the only one with a car, so we had to ride around with him.
At my
Let me not
mercy.
say we had to. He drove us around, but he drove us around recklessly,
Mm.
and we always feared for our lives.
Mm.
But he has come a long way from that.
But did you die?
I
Oh
kind
my
of don't
God.
recall.
life, though.
Yeah, right? Did
I
you
kind
recall
of don't
that?
recall, but also I might have been in the space of
Jess
like,
has blocked out all important memories.
apparently.
That traumatized her. Because every time I tell her something, she's like, I don't remember
I
that.
feel like.
Sean used to have his brother.
Wow, they came up for him. That's my bro.
Okay, your brother. Everybody who knows Sean knows who I'm talking about. They would be driving and the brother would start steering. And they'd be weaving in and out of traffic. Mind
don't
you,
think I've
he's
experienced that.
driving.
Yeah,
The
'cause I
brother-
had to do something like take off my jacket.
No,
It might be hot.
I don't.
It would be for no reason. They just drove like that
So
for
you're a
fun.
reckless driver.
No,
He
this
was.
This is before I was. This is when I was a child.
He used to, the exit.
A child.
You know the exit to go to
Girl,
security.
18 is a
When
child.
you get off exit 17, that mean turn,
Mhm.
they used to drift across that joint.
You don't go to juvie at 18. You go to jail.
Yeah,
Or
you are-
prison.
You're an adult.
You're an adult in the eyes of the
legal
government.
system.
I will mark this, and next time you say something where it's like they're 21, they're just a child. I
Oh,
will.
yeah.
Come back to this point.
Yes, my receipts will be.
I know I be calling people under.
Yeah, I mean,
under,
technically you are like
25
Yeah.
to call them babies.
Like-
Guys, you know what's crazy? Somebody told me, oh, she's like 20. Excuse me, 21. Give me the year. Because I'm legal.
Give me the year.
Okay? I'm legal. I am an adult now.
Girl, you've been an adult now.
Well, officially, I can
You
drink.
can do everything.
I can do
now.
everything.
Yeah.
Except rent a car.
Well, 25
at a
like,
decent rate.
Yes.
You got to be 25 for that.
25 is when you're like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
for
when
real
you-
That's when
now.
your
Yeah.
brain is like
Oh
done
my gosh.
developing.
And also your brain is finished.
I went to go book a hotel room. I booked one for a staycation for myself. I got to the
Okay, not at 21. She's grown. She's fully grown. Like,
You had your orange juice?
Not too much. I went a week before my birthday, and the lady was like, she passed me back my ID over the counter and was like, "Sorry, you're under 21. We cannot give you your keys." I was like, "Ma'am, I paid for this hotel room. Excuse me, I have adult money, so give me my adult key. Thank you." I was so angry that when she gave it back to me, I stormed off to my car and I cried. I was so
not I cried.
I would have been upset too. It's okay. I get it. I would have been upset too.
So did you not get it?
No, I had to bring my boyfriend to get the key, but I was so mad.
That's crazy. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't
It is.
either.
I was like, my birthday's next week. Like, come on. I was so sad. Like, come on.
Come on, let me buy that
Oh,
alcohol.
you have to be 21
You have
to
to be
get
21
it.
to get the key. Yeah.
okay.
They make you.
I never knew that.
Next
Yeah.
week,
But you took my money though.
But they took my
You
money.
took my money, but
And they knew I was 20. They knew I was 20 when they took my money. I don't know. It's
Like, y'all
ridiculous.
got my card. Like, hey, just let
I
me
feel
slide.
like I've seen that fine print, but I never thought about it because I wasn't getting
It's never
hotels
applicable.
that-
yeah, like because who's
Yeah.
buying
Yeah.
hotels at 20 like that?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
apparently
we need a
rich
break.
young people.
I
Listen,
know, living their best lives.
Listen.
Nice.
Must be.
they weren't doing the free IHOPs.
I know.
No.
Not no.
I was like, I'm beyond that. Peasants.
No, I'm just sick of it. Like when I feel like whenever I've had money, I've always felt like I have a broke mindset. I feel like I'm always like I have $0 in my account. I could have however much money in my account, but I feel like I shouldn't be spending it. I should be saving it for something important. So my friends would be like, "Oh, well, we're gonna go out to eat." I'm like, "Oh, well, we're gonna go to IHOP. I can get $8. I can get a full meal, and then whatever."
That wasn't recent.
That was in high school.
Okay.
Girl, you had money in high school? Wow.
I got in an accident myself and padded that little savings account with my settlement money.
There I get it.
Then that did it, but I also had a job,
Mm.
so it helped a little.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, I don't even know where to go from there. Jasmine is one of the ones, I think in one of the previous episodes I talked about crying at a graduation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was this one. I also talked about one of my folks that like
The
runs track
overachieving,
and yeah, the overachiever does all this stuff. And
that's me.
look who showed up.
Come on, Black woman excellence. Yes.
It's a lot of pressure. So maybe it's like internal pressure.
I was gonna
I was
ask.
gonna ask
I was
the
like,
same
so who
thing.
is pressuring you?
I don't know. Like I feel.
Yes, because I asked that a lot too.
I don't know. I think that like once you achieve something and then you are like people clap for you and they're like, "Oh, this is so amazing. You're doing so great. You're paving the way. Like you're setting the standard for people coming after you." It's like, "Okay, well then I need to maintain."
Ooh.
Are you
So-
the oldest?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm the first to go to like graduate from college. Like I'm the first to go to grad school. Like a
Yeah.
lot of firsts,
Yeah.
I can
So I
understand
feel
that.
like it's internal pressure, but I feel like it's an expectation that they're just not telling me.
Yeah.
They're putting the pressure on you directly and indirectly. So
Yeah.
then you internalize it, and now that's
Yeah.
like your own barometer inside yourself. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. I wasn't the oldest sibling, but I was the oldest like cousin growing up in my like group
Mm-hmm.
of cousins, and so yeah, it was always like, oh, you got to do this, you got to set a good example. Like
Yes.
even after turning 21, don't drink in front of your cousins. You need to set a good example.
Yes.
Like they gonna do what they
Yeah.
want to do.
Yes.
Let me live my life. Let me do what I want to do.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
know that I had that type because both of my parents they're closer to the younger side and they both are. So they never put that type of like achieving pressure, but they put more you take care of everybody pressure.
Mm.
So I don't have I don't have any I don't have any like achieving. I don't strive for things. I be doing what I need to do to get by.
Mhm.
But when it comes to taking care of people or like that
Mhm.
type of thing, then it's like that's your job.
Yeah.
It's always been your job. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still my job, but it been my job, so now
Yeah.
I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's real.
But yeah, the oldest always has some sort of like
Yeah.
pressure.
Pressure.
That I feel like if you asked your parents, they would be like, "We didn't put that on you."
Oh, of
It's like,
course not.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Well, it's not like that, but it's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, am I
Yeah.
being gaslit?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my family's always like, you put this pressure on yourself. You stress yourself out. And that is true to a degree.
To a degree,
I
yeah.
feel like it's like, I told my grandfather one time, like, you gave me a reward every time I got an A.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
so
you're reinforcing a behavior. So then if I got less than an A, my mom always told me, and this sticks with me, and it's like a great thing. She always told me I could do anything. And I truly believe that. Like anything someone tells me is like too hard, I don't care what you say because my mom told me I could do it. So I don't care.
Mhm.
But when you get to a certain point where it's like, I'm doing this because should I? I can. But should I be? You know, like I can get A's. I can be striving for all this great stuff. But at some point, it's like it exhausts you.
Yeah.
I don't have to,
yeah,
but you reward me when I do. So
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that. I mean, we've had
several.
several conversations about that where I'm just like, I mean, that's cool. I was like, I mean, I'm not knocking anybody. Like, you can get your 4.0s. Like, you can do that. I'm like, but me with my 3.5 looking real good with my mental health at on 100
Yeah.
versus somebody that's like, I got to
Yeah.
get this 4.0. I'm struggling. Like, every day I'm like trying to down 8 cups of coffee just so I can do this. And I'm like,
I was on
Yeah.
that C's get degrees train.
Sound like my sister.
That's not stressing me out. Nobody's looking at these transcripts. I promise y'all.
Bruh.
Mhm.
And
Bruh.
just get your degree if you really need a degree for your field and keep it pushing
Yeah.
Yeah.
because no one asks for it later.
I
But I think
know.
it's interesting that you were talking about like you got rewarded because a lot of the social media like parenting social media is like don't tell your kids good job, don't tell your kids this because it's the same reason. It's
Yeah.
the not making them feel like they are trying to get you to say good job. Look, mommy, I did this. Okay,
Yeah.
you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
you're supposed to do
Yeah.
that. And if I'm always saying good job, then they're going out of their way to
Yes.
get that reaction out of
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I-
it's interesting to see it in someone that's older, so that I don't do that to my kids. Because I hear them say it, but then I'm just
Yeah.
like, good job, baby. You did so
Yeah.
good." But I'll try not to.
I don't know.
I've heard
No, go ahead.
I've heard celebrities even talk about like that's something that commonly has some of them go off the rails because when you're used to performing,
Mhm.
like that same like reward center in your brain, like it's like, oh, I'm getting all of this. So like imagine like you're a dancer or you're a singer or you're somebody that like tells jokes and you keep going to these venues and these stages and then you're, you know, performing in front of these large audiences. And then maybe something happens where you can't do that. And it's like you're not getting that reward.
Mhm.
So it's just like, and there's nothing that can really replace that
Yeah.
kind of like that reward in your brain,
Mhm.
that dopamine, that
Yeah.
dopamine hit that you get from those experiences that some of them end up going towards like drugs and other activities that would give them some semblance of that. So I think definitely what you're saying, like learning how to better raise kids and like address people so that they're not having that same kind of like cycle of I'm only doing this or I feel like I have to do this. Like we want people to have like the freedom of choice in like what you want to do and what you need to do. And like I still struggle with that myself. I mean, we've had the conversation about like me going back to school. Like, what's your why? And it's just like I need to achieve, and it's just I want a degree, but why? Do you need it for your program? Do you need it like what do you need it for? What is your why? So like really taking those layers back, and it's just like it's because I'm so used to being told like you need to be doing something,
Yeah.
and like. Oof, child. Last week had a breakdown session with my husband talking about because he was asking me that. He was like, "Why do you feel the need to be like you have to be this best wife? Like you're a great wife to me. Like why do you feel like you're not doing enough? Why do you feel like you know what's going on is not enough?" And it's like I'm not. It's not that I don't feel like I'm enough. It's just like I feel like there's more that needs to be done, and that if I'm not performing, then I'm not worth anything.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
in church, we in church. Yes, I agree.
yeah, like, and I'm like, I hate the fact that my self-worth is tied to my productivity. And so I'm still trying to unlearn that on all these different levels. Like I can unlearn it at work, but now I'm at home and I'm like having to unlearn this in a whole new relationship. So I'm just like, Jesus, how twisted and tied up is this? So yeah.
I am so glad that this conversation is happening
Yeah.
because
That sounded very familiar. We had that conversation.
100%, like
Yeah.
word for word.
Word for word. It's like my mom was not the parent who said like, you got an A. Oh, we're going out to eat. It was, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You're supposed you're doing great, but this is what you're supposed to do. And my grandfather's the one who would be giving me like the money, like good job,
Yeah,
here's a
yeah.
couple bucks. I was like, oh well, let me keep getting a couple bucks. But like it was very much like you're amazing at this. You're great in school, so do that. Be the best at that. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I can be the best at school. I was the valedictorian. I got all A's all through high school, middle school. Like I was always in like gifted and talented classes. I was always like great at school. I was like, I can do this. I graduated college and was like, what do I be great at now? I have nothing to be good at anymore. Like work is okay, I guess, but like now that's not feeling like enough.
Yeah.
So what else? Like
you shift your focus.
Yeah, like I can be a good sister. I can be a good girlfriend. I can be a good daughter. I can like, but what else?
But all of them sound like for other people. Like, what's for
Yeah.
you?
I don't. Yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to figure that out. I think that like at this stage in life, I've been in like an awkward space. So I'm in grad school. So I'm like, okay, I'm back in school. I can be great at this, but I'm also working full time.
Girl,
So I don't
it's a
have-
whole different beast.
Oh my gosh.
Whole different beast.
I was not ready mentally for the challenge that was approaching me. But I thought that like I would be able to be great at that again. Okay, now I have somewhere to put my energy. I have somewhere to focus. I can be good at this and attach my self-worth to something else. you know?
Yeah.
But now that I'm realizing I can't put all of my energy there because I have to go to work and I have to survive and I have to be a person in life, what do I do? I don't know. It feels like a constant battle, like figuring out who I am.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a consistent journey. Like and I feel like when you feel like you figured out who you are, you're going to change again.
Yes.
And so you have to be comfortable with that evolution because like, again, like I got to a point where I'm just like, okay, I'm enough for this job. I'm that girl at work. Like, please tell me who I am because you can't. Okay. I'm that girl, period. And then I come home and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not a great daughter. I'm not a great wife.
Oh my
I could be
gosh.
doing more. And then I threw myself into, like this grad program. And then I'm like, but I can do the work. I can be great. But also I'm at my wit's end because I'm still trying to be all of these different roles to these different people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm not doing something, then who am I? What am I? And so it's like that worth again just kind of shift. But I really was like, you can't tell me nothing in one scenario, and then I'm in another scenario like, dang.
You know what's interesting though? I think my boyfriend taught me this. He's very insightful. He's gonna watch this and be like, the way we see ourselves is not necessarily how other people see us.
Oh, girl, yes, 100%.
That's crazy. Like I always have this battle. Like I told him, it's interesting. I was like, I can't be a wife and be in school because I can't be good at both. So I gotta be good at one thing at a time. And I feel like I always battle with, I don't feel like I'm doing enough as a girlfriend. I feel like you do so much and I need to be doing more. Like, and then if I do this, then I have to make sure that my family's catered to. And I feel like I'm like the piece in the middle, the
that holds everything.
That pulls everything together. So I gotta be there for everybody. He's like, but you are. So let's take a step back. Let's zoom out. Who is telling you that you're not good enough for them? No one. Mm-hmm. So people don't see you the way you see you. You're hyper focusing on the little things that you're doing wrong in your mind that you're doing wrong or not enough of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily the truth. And it feels like it's the absolute truth at the time.
Oh, yes. And the loudest truth.
The loud truth,
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to be more like her daughter. Her daughter, you be like, oh, you look so cute. She's like, I know.
Yes.
She don't say thank you. She be like, I know.
Reinforce it while they're young. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know. Sometimes because we, in the self-worth episode, it was this same type of conversation. I'm always like, it's interesting that y'all are going through this. because it's not something I struggle with.
Yeah.
Like, I've always just kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, but I don't seek validation outside of myself. I validate myself, and that's just how
Yeah.
I've always been.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was raised like that. So it's hard for me to be like, where did it come from? How did I get to this place?
Yeah.
Or was I just never like that? I never had to unlearn it.
Mm-hmm.
I just was always like that. But it's interesting. I feel like I wish I had an answer to be like, this is what I did to be able to be like this.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
I think I was just like that. And I don't know if that's just the answer. Like, some people are just like this and some people are like that.
Mhm.
And how do we then help you guys who are struggling to get out of that? Because I think my husband is he's more of a people pleaser, not a overachiever, but his people pleasing is it gives off the
It's
same
the
effect.
same- yeah, yeah.
Like, he always wants people to like him. He might not like you, but he still wants you to like him. And I'm like, why? Like, if you don't like them,
Yeah.
why does their opinion matter? And he doesn't get past that. He's just like, because I want everybody to like me. Like, he doesn't want to feel like he's a mean person, or people's perceptions of him matters a lot. And it wasn't until I got married that I was like, okay, I care about his opinion. But
Yeah.
only sometimes, because sometimes I'll be like, that's wrong. Your opinion is wrong. Fix it. But maybe I don't care about his opinion. Because I feel like a lot of times when I don't agree with his opinion, I explain myself.
Yeah.
Like, if I feel like I talked about, he might not want me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. There was a time we were playing one of the question games, and the question asked, like, what is something that comes to your mind when you think of your spouse? And he said something like, you're mean. And I was like, I'm mean? And that's his opinion. But at this point, I'm like, if that is your opinion of me, why are we together? And so now we have a full conversation, because your first thing that came to your mind when this question was asked was that I was mean. So let's flesh this out, because we shouldn't be together if I'm mean. Like, it's not adding up to me. And after we had the whole conversation, he's like, well, it's not that you're mean. It's this, it's that. He's trying to, like, dig his way out of it. But I was like, I know myself. I am not mean. Like, you need to understand that. And so maybe I don't. That's what I say. Maybe I don't care about his opinion, but it's more so knowing myself and, like, being confident in what I know about myself. And in the self-worth episode, I talked about, like, all of the church isms, the whose you are, knowing whose you are, and things like that. Like, that is very important. I think that might be what my foundation is. Like, I understand my worth, and I know that nobody can take that from me. It don't matter. In school, I was bullied, and I would look at kids like, y'all tripping. Y'all can try to bully me. And that bullied is kind of like, they tried to bully me. It just didn't work. And then I got to be that kid that was like, oh, don't even mess with her because she looked crazy. Because they would say stuff to me, and I'd be like, looks you up and down like, you're not talking to me. I'm not even gonna respond to you because you're wasting your breath. Get out my face. Yeah. And so kids it wasn't pleasurable for them to pick on me, because I wouldn't give them the time of day. Like, you're not even worth my time. And so I've always had that mentality, and I hope and I pray that my kids have the same mentality, because if they end up being like my husband, it'll be more of a struggle. I think that life is more of a struggle. Yeah. Because you're always trying to satisfy something that you can't. Especially if you don't even ask the people. Because you guys are putting it on yourselves to be like, oh, like I'm not doing enough. But the people said you're doing enough. Yeah.
And you still don't believe them.
I can easily tie this back to the Enneagram, as I mentioned in many previous episodes, but I won't go too much into it. But as you know, Enneagram is based on core motivation, so I think that's really what kind of drives that. And as y'all know, Jess is a 6. I'm pretty sure Jasmine is also a 6. So they're looking for
she feels like she's always broke. That's a 6 mindset.
So it's that feeling of, like, always looking for security, and that's where, and it's like trying to find something to hold on to so that they can feel safe at all times. So that's why they're looking for that validation from other people.
I don't know, but you know what's interesting though? I seek validation on everything. Like we were talking about earlier. Sean will tell me, I'll ask 10 more people. Let me just make sure. But there's only one thing that I'm not. I don't waver. Not. I don't need your opinion, your validation. That's my relationship, and I don't know why I can't take that same mentality other places. Because like I can't. I for whatever reason haven't been able to validate myself. I don't know why. I hope that I learn because it's through life I'm gonna need it. But like when people give me their opinions and their thoughts on like my relationship, like you don't know what's going on up in here.
Yeah.
So your opinion doesn't sway me. I don't need your opinion. I don't ask for thoughts on things I go through. I don't care. I don't like people
Sound like me.
because people give me their thoughts and their opinions on that specific topic often.
I can relate.
And like I don't care. I
Mhm.
truly
What
don't
makes
care.
you so confident though in your relationship?
Because I was in a toxic one, so I know what it looks like to be in a toxic like a bad situation, and all of the things that how it looks and all that. I know what it feels like to feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
And he makes
It's
me
the
feel safe.
Okay.
it's the security of the safety.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's teaching me how to trust my own opinion, my own thoughts, and he makes me feel like the best me. So I don't care what you think
Yeah.
because I feel like the best me in my relationship. We work, we don't argue. It's not toxic. Hey, why else? Like,
Yeah,
there's
that's
nothing else to
good.
think about.
Yeah.
But in life, situations I can't control.
Are we
Tell me
the
what you
same?
think.
Are we the same? This is wild.
I think that's why it's so easy for me to give you advice, like when it comes to work and personal life, because I have John, and then you just be saying the exact same things that
My
he has
twin.
said.
I know.
Yeah, and then
Not
it's
the
like
same.
going through it. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been together for so long, so then it's just like, oh, like I know where you're coming from. Like I might not have been in that situation, but I've seen how it was
Mhm.
dealt with,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then I saw what worked for John anyway, and I can
Yeah.
only offer advice. I mean, like I always harass you and mess around, just like I told you this stuff. Like I said before, it was
Yeah.
like this is one opinion. I give you my opinion. You get it from your mom, you get it from your mentor, but you take those collective thoughts and you make your own educated decision, and then you kind of go with that. But I
Yeah.
think with you, it's kind of like you're young, so you're still learning. Like you're still learning yourself. You're still finding out. You're still experiencing life. So then it's like you find security as you grow and
Yeah.
experience things. But then also with you, you like to you're full steam ahead all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I feel like with your relationship, it's like the one time you can like slow down
Yeah.
and like appreciate and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Mhm.
And I think that might potentially cause a struggle in other areas because it's like, well, I have to go through this. And it's like, well, you also can slow down.
It don't feel like that. It don't
That's,
feel like that in the moment. Like I wish.
that's
Like everything feels big. Everything feels
Girl, yes.
I mean everything is big,
Mhm.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be big. Like you can always slow down. It can be smaller things. It doesn't have to be a whole.
So you saying things can be smaller and she's saying things can be big. Part of that is like because we're achievers, we are completely adverse to failure. And like failure is a part of the process, but if we can avoid it, we prefer to. And if we can plan around it by gathering other opinions and other research and before we make a final decision just to make sure that we can avoid it, we'll do that. So I kind of get what you're saying where you're just like it doesn't have to be as big, but it's just like but failure is always like crouching at your door.
Yeah.
And especially if you're like so used to achieving, you're like absolutely not. You are not welcome in this home. You're not welcome across the threshold. I'm going to, ward you off as long and as frequent as possible. So to try to make things smaller is like, I'm going to give way to allowing failure to possibly creep in. There's something else I was going to say.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing that Jasmine and I have been doing lately, I've been giving. Yes, I've been like, let's play a game. It is called the worst case scenario, where we take something and let's make up the most ridiculous scenario that you are thinking. And let's talk about how realistic this
That really
is.
yeah.
So it ended up like one of our scenarios was like we were in prison, we got shanked, and then we died. And I'm like, all right, now let's think about how realistic it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not too like diminish any thought or
Yeah.
anything, but it's kind of just
To get it
it's
out
like
there.
a grounding
Yeah.
thing, so you
Yeah.
can just like see like, okay, these
My
are
therapist has me do
possibilities,
that.
yes, but there are also other possibilities that we can take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some that are outrageous and some that are realistic.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I haven't been practicing it, but for the people part, and like the expectation part on yourself, my therapist was saying like, okay, let's open up those thoughts. So like, for example, I had like texted somebody and I texted him like this long message, like really heartfelt, and they kind of but it was like late. So I meant to text them this earlier, and so of course I apologize in the message, keep it, heartfelt, all of that. They respond back like 2 words, and I am crushed. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they hate me, they don't like me, I'm just the worst friend. Oh my gosh, all of these things. And so I like bring it up with my therapist, and he's like, okay, so where did you get that thought from? Did they tell you this? And I'm like, no. But he's like, but no, let's explore. Why do you feel like you're a horrible friend because you missed something and that they only texted you these 2 words? What are the other things that could be happening that they only texted you these 2 words? Like let's make this a reality. Like let's bring this down and let's actually open it up a little bit more instead of you like kind of hyper focusing in on I didn't text them in time or in the time that, they probably would have expected it, and maybe they were busy. And yeah, they were busy. So it was like, okay, I made up this whole narrative, which I do often. I have this whole story around like maybe 1 or 2 events. And it's just like, it's because I want to anticipate something. But then I allow the worst parts of it to be magnified versus really making a holistic picture of it.
Yeah.
But I also can relate to the relationship thing. That's what I forgot to mention. I can relate to the relationship thing because that was something I've told a lot of people. I was just like, there's one decision in my life that I can say without without the shadow of a doubt that I've made was my husband. Like I 10 toes down on it, 100%. Even further down the line, I will still say 10 toes down, 100%. Like best decision, the decision I was the most sure about. So if I can like just build on that and like spread it out to other areas, like that's really what I'm trying to figure out. But I definitely agree that maybe just dissecting a little bit more.
Yeah, I've been trying like with just in life, like now that I'm adulting and like doing the big things and paying the bills and making decisions. Like I'm the most indecisive person aside from my sister. We're equally indecisive. She might be worse, but we're very indecisive people. And I think it's because like my family they're like, well, do this. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll do that. I trust you. We'll go that route. Or I'm like, hey, mom, what you think? This or this? She's like, I would lean this. But it's up to you. Well, you said lean this way, so we're gonna go this way. Like I've always I've relied on them. Now that I have to make decisions on my own, this feels like groundbreaking. It feels like oh my God, it's earth shattering. And sometimes I have to zoom out. That's been a theme I talked to with my therapist. Zoom out on life for a second. Put it in perspective. Let's do a reality check. Like, is this really as big as you're making it? Or is it like with the money situation? I always feel like I don't have any money. But recently, quick and easy thing, my financial advisor was like, save a little less. I was like,
not to say save a little
and
less.
Sean told me the same thing, but I was like, I need to hear it again.
Well, to be fair, her financial advisor is my financial advisor,
so
and told me the same thing. So.
It was like when he said save less, I was like, oh, that's a quick and easy fix for a problem that felt like it was ending my life. So thank you.
When you feel like you don't got no money, you're like, oh my goodness, like how can I afford this meal? But then you've been saving your whole paycheck, and you're like, I could have just
used my own money.
Yeah,
and it was
it's just.
It felt great to, like, for somebody else to take something that's like this and like it's really this big. It's really this big, and that's not to. Sometimes I have to back up and like I'm not going to invalidate how I feel. It's real. The feelings are real.
Yeah.
But like you said, it doesn't always have to be that big. But I don't realize that until somebody shrinks it down for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's okay. Like I said, you're still young. Like it's not something like that people just learned overnight.
Yeah.
Like I took plenty of classes on like the stuff that I work with y'all about. I minored in psychology after all. So,
yeah.
I mean, and then I took like I study Enneagram like consistently. Just different classes to help in that case. I mean, but that helps me as well. So
Mm-hmm.
then, like, I always encourage people to go and look into things like that too,
Yeah.
like for themselves, for others. To me, it just
It
helps you better
simplifies.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
It gives
real.
you techniques to use
Yeah.
in life,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
not only at work, but you can use it in your personal
And
life.
yeah, and you know another thing interesting, prayer has also been something that's I've been trying to implement, and I think
Mhm.
it's helpful because
Mhm.
it also feels like security.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
It's a form of meditation. That's what
yeah.
my therapist, he's not religious, and he's just like, you have to find your version of meditation. And if that looks like listening to a devotional or having your Bible play or praying, like find what grounds you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love yoga. So I try to like mix the two.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, either it's like a breathing exercise where I'll like inhale something like, I'm worthy of God's love. And then I exhale, like, like something like just whatever is the negative thought that I have rooted in me. Like, I have to work for the love of God. Like, just inhale again and just hold it. And then exhale out whatever that negativity is. And sometimes I have to do that at work. Like, because things like come at you. And especially when you're having like moments where you feel like your confidence is being shaken or you're
Mhm.
feeling like you need that security again. For me, breath work has been like crazy good. Like it's definitely one of the best ways to kind of like reground yourself if you can't do like the brain processing of everything. Like just taking moments to either do like a box breath or 4-7-8 or like there's so many different techniques, but
Mhm.
like that breathing with prayer, definitely agree. Like it's
Mm.
super grounding.
That brings me to a question, two-parter for everybody. One, what's a very tough moment that you had to work through, like,
Ooh.
and ground yourself, and then how did you ground yourself to bring yourself back down? A very tough moment. I want to know the moment. And I'm starting with Sean.
I don't know. I gotta think about it.
Okay.
A
What do you have
tough
one?
moment.
Very tough moment.
And I had to ground myself. Does that have to be for me?
It's for everybody.
I mean,
Like
like,
you
Oh, well,
grounding yourself.
Yes, it has to be for you.
Something I'm going through, a situation I went through, and I had to like.
Mm-hmm. In your journey through adulting, since we grown.
oh, okay. I can start. I mean, I think I talked about it on the podcast before. So like, and you might, well, you probably won't relate to it yet. But when I was overseas, like for promotions, like I would keep getting overlooked for promotions. I mean, that was like during COVID, maybe right before COVID. But it was just like I do so much, like, and I feel like people know that I do so much at work. I do so much for people. Like I'm a very big person into like giving back. So then I just felt so not like valuable or recognized or like
Appreciate it.
yeah, appreciate it. And typically I'm not a person to feel that on the inside. Like that can happen. I usually brush it off, but it just was like repetitive. And I think with COVID, or maybe was it before COVID? I don't know. Or with COVID and stuff, like it was like right
I
there.
think it was during because you
Like-
told us you had
Yeah.
a call with us and you talked
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that lady that was one of your managers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So
So then it's just like it was just like eating at me, and then like I was trying to like get out. I tried to leave my office, and then like my chief of staff was like, "Nope, you do too good of work to get you out of here." And I was like, "So you gonna let me be miserable?" And they were like, "Yeah, because you do good work here." I was like, "So I got to stop doing work for you to put me in a better situation."
Mm.
And I couldn't, as much as I wanted to do that, I could not let myself do that because I was like, well, then I'm like letting people down. But as it went on, I listened to a lot of Moana. Like that soundtrack just be getting me through it. Like if you ever just hear certain songs playing, like John be like, he must be going through it because they're
Yes.
just definitely like, whoo, pew, like that. And then I was drawing a lot, and that helped me really like express what I was going through. I did a lot of Enneagram work too. Just trying to like dig deep into figuring out what that was.
Mhm.
So like expressing it, and then like you said, I talked to y'all too about it, because it's not one that I typically would talk about. Like usually I'm pretty good at like, well, that's over, and I keep going. But this time it was like, dang, like that's weird. Let's keep coming back. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll push it to the side again. Oh shoot, it's back again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why won't you stay? Like, stay over there. But that helped me.
Self-expression in your own way. Okay.
And then like also trying to, with me, I have a hard time with not dealing with emotions because I'm good with good emotions, like happy
Mm.
emotions, but processing negative emotions and figuring out exactly what that emotion is. So
Mhm.
like I might think like, ah, like I'm just angry or sad, but it might not be sad or angry. Like it'll take me a good while to figure out like, oh, I was afraid. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling this way. Once I know the feeling and can name it and can state it, then I can fight it.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a good while for me to get to that feeling or understanding what that feeling is. Unless it's like happy, joy, excitement. Like I can do those. Like
Positives.
yes, those I'm
Yeah.
like, yay, come to me. But the other ones I'm like, push. Don't need to deal with you.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. We're gonna come back to that.
But
You have one?
You can go.
Okay. I think a moment for me would be when I was living with my parents and then got married, moved to Hawaii. And
Ooh.
most of my life things just fall into place. Like I pray, I journal, I do things, and God be like, "Yes, daughter." Here you go. And so once we got to Hawaii, it was rough, but we were doing what we needed to do. And I realized while I was there that my husband is not enough. If you know what like him alone, it cannot sustain me.
Yes.
So relying on God was very important in that time, but that's not even my moment. So he then gets deployed. I come back to Maryland, and this is my first time now living completely by myself. So not with my parents, not with my husband. And the first month of me living in this apartment, first of all, I gave the people the money, like I paid in the office. I get a notice that says you haven't paid X amount of money. You have this amount of time to pay it, or you're gonna be evicted. And I was like, I just got here and I paid in the office, and y'all gave me receipts. And so I'm panicking, like I have never been on my own, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing because I know I paid them. So then I go to the office and I go with all my receipts, like I paid this money on my account. This is this. And they were like, oh, you forgot to pay this fee, which means I forgot. Y'all took the card and swiped. I said, take all the money that you're supposed to take and swipe. Like she was like, well, you should have read this and made sure it was the right amount.
I gotta tell you,
I gotta
do
tell
your
you-
job.
Yeah, no.
I gotta
When
tell
I
you to
tell
bill me
you
right.
At that moment, I was like, okay, the world doesn't always fall into place. Like things don't always just line up. And so I had to start being more intentional about paying attention to details, because everybody doesn't have your best interests at heart.
Mhm.
And that was like a adulting moment that I was like, this is crazy. This is what people are dealing with. And so I'm over here. What would an adult do? I'm gonna write a review. So I go in, I write my review. I send some emails, and they start apologizing, like, because I was like, I'm calling everybody, because this lady, because when I went to approach her about it, because I knew who helped me, she just did not take any accountability, and she was just putting it back on me. And I'm not a crier, but I called my husband. He's deployed. He's like, well, what do you want me to do? I can't come back. And I'm like, I can't call my dad because my dad didn't even really want me to marry you. I was like, I literally have to figure this out myself. And I don't know if you weren't around. You live far. Like it was just me by myself trying to figure it out as an adult. Like that was that whole period, maybe 9 months, maybe 10 months of him being gone, was me figuring out life as an individual, being an adult, like with no real help.
Mhm.
And I'm so happy that I did not have any kids while I was in Hawaii, because I would have been a single mother.
Child,
and
I
that
tried
would've
to
been-
tell you.
We tried too.
I know you was trying. I was like, I don't think this is the time, because I don't think he wants to be leaving his
yeah.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I want a child. We gonna have our kid. I'm like, okay.
Also,
Y'all
the
gonna have
Lord knew what he was doing, because literally, anytime I was ovulating, my husband would be gone. Literally.
So I'm gonna fix
he was
that.
sending you right.
Yeah, it was like,
You think no,
Mhm.
not on my time.
y'all think y'all doing something, but y'all are just playing around here. Like, y'all aren't even doing anything. So yeah, yeah, that was my moment. And to get over it, it was just really a sit down, pray, and action. Like, what do I need to do now to fix this? I cannot sit in this and just be sad. I cannot lose my apartment, because where am I gonna go? I'm sure my dad would have been like, it's fine, but that
Yeah.
wasn't
Mm-mm.
the life I was trying to
Mhm.
lead. I didn't want to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I ended up going back home even though I'm married. Like, no,
Mm.
my husband wouldn't have wanted that, because he's like, it's gonna look like I can't take care of my wife.
Right.
But you're not here. You're
Yeah.
not here to take care of me, and
Yeah.
I'll try to take care of myself. So I really had to just figure it out.
Action. Taking action.
Yeah.
Expression. Action. Okay.
Girl, not you. Something.
Right.
Like,
I think
Mental
there's
notes.
gonna be a theme here. There's gonna be a theme.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't even know what example I'm gonna use. So tough time.
A
That-
tough time. Something like a really hard moment that
A
you
hard
had to deal with,
moment.
and then
Oof,
how
Jesus.
you grounded yourself. How did you come out of it?
not our Enneagrams coming out on this whole thing.
I was gonna say it at the end.
All of it.
Probably the whole process for my certification. It's a big deal. Like, I mean, I know some people are like, oh, PMP is not that like the huge deal, but it kind of is a big deal. Like the exam itself is
It is. I know somebody that took it a lot of times.
yeah. And so for me, again, that fear of failure, like I knew myself well enough to know that if I failed the first time, I don't know how long it would have taken me to recover
Mhm.
to try again. So I was trying to invest everything in like this first attempt to study. And so because it's so much information, and I think around the time I started, we were like newly dating, I want to say. So I did like a boot camp, and I'm like, oh, I'll take the exam. And then like life took off because I'm like, oh, well, I'm married now. So it was like a year later, and I'm like, dang, I never took the exam. So I kind of start over essentially.
Mhm.
And so I remember like redoing a lot of the material, doing test exams, not doing as well on the test exams or the practice exams. And like just not feeling smart enough, not feeling like this was really for me when I knew like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, like this was what God wanted me to do. Like he
Mhm.
wanted me to get my PMP. Why? I don't know. But this was a part of my plan, my path. And so I would say like a lot of nights, like I would be up late, and some nights I would go to bed and just be in tears because I'm like, am I not smart enough? Am I not grasping the material? Like, what is not clicking for me? And it doesn't make sense that it doesn't click for me, and it seems like it's clicking for everybody else.
Mhm.
So what I would start doing was more of those breathing exercises where I'm just like, okay, when it gets hard, I'm gonna take a break. Or when I get to that point where I feel like I'm gonna be like in tears again, I'm gonna just pull back,
Mhm.
review what I know and pull back, or just take like, a couple days break, have my test date set. And then when I get there to the exam, take my breaks, make sure I'm doing my breathing. And then I had songs. Like I have one of the songs called Safe Retreat, and it's like it's a religious song a little bit, but it's like I guess more new age, I don't know. But it really talks about like when I don't know, like you're my safe retreat. Like God, you're my safe retreat. Like I don't have to be anybody or anything. Like I can just retreat to you. Like even when everything else is chaos, like in you I find my peace. So that was very grounding. And then there was another song that I would listen to by Tierra Whack that she just says, I'm only human. I'm not perfect. I'm just a person. And so that's like reminding me like I don't have to be a perfectionist. So yeah, I like had like this playlist that I would just like listen to that would kind of help me like calm back down. But for me, Safe Retreat, like if I would get in the car and I'd feel like that anxiety like rising up because I'm thinking about the exam or thinking about like, dang, how did I get this wrong? And it's like I'm literally doing the work
Yeah.
that this exam is covering already. So you would think I'd feel more confident, but
Mhm.
it was just taking those moments to give myself grace. And even in the physical sense of take a break, girl. Like, yes, the exam is coming up, but you literally mentally need a break. You
Mm.
need to step outside of trying to cram or trying to perform when you're really just not there emotionally or mentally. So I think just being more aware of like where I was, again, emotionally, really helped me better plan out how to study. And when I got there, like, again, took my breaks, did my breathing, affirmed myself, got back in that room, knocked it out, got it done.
Period. Yes.
And I'm like, I know that's right. Like, I was really surprised with myself. Even though my score, I'm like, I thought I did better. But I'm like, no. We're not doing that.
I was saying
Because we hold West Side certified. So I'm not redoing this exam.
Right.
Period. I'm already certified. It's not even about, oh, I should have. It's this, we did it.
Right.
Period.
Right, you passed.
Full stop. And I'm doing the work. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it would be different if I wasn't doing the work. But I'm doing the work
Yeah.
and I have the certification on top of
Yeah.
that. So, yeah.
All of these made so much sense with
Well-
what we just talked about.
What was the summary?
So essentially,
What was her summary?
oh, the overachiever part. Yeah, you had to still be the overachiever, but give yourself a little bit of time to realize, okay, I can do this. Let me take a break. Let me breathe, and then okay, let me just go do what I already knew I could do. I say all that to say, in adulting, I feel like it's all about making hard decisions, and there's like a lot of moments that feel like super, super hard. And I think the way to get through life that I've been noticing the past couple of years is you have to ground yourself somehow.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks different for
Mhm.
everybody. And
Mhm.
sometimes it can feel like you're doing it the wrong way, but it's based on who you are. Like, because you just said you're an overachiever, like me, you even your example was an example of you trying to achieve, and you had to find your method that taking a break. I feel like that's a theme with overachievers. We don't do that.
We don't. We
Like,
don't
at
take
all.
breaks. Like, I
You
gotta
tried
do it.
crazy, but you got to that point.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. You said you validate yourself and you knew to take action. Me, I would have been crying on the floor.
Listen.
Okay.
Now listen. I'm about to eat this L.
Right, we're just going. I was like, Mom, I'm coming home. Come on, I can't
Yeah.
do it. It makes sense. And then when you sang, I was like, Enneagram 7. It makes perfect sense. You were drawing. I could see you. I could imagine you with paint on the walls and like paintbrushes and everything. Like, I'm gonna get these emotions out somehow.
This is how it goes.
But like it's even though they're all very different, they make sense with who we are.
Yeah.
And it's not like I always feel like I'm not dealing with it the way everyone else wants me to deal with it. I'm not making these decisions fast enough, and I'm not dealing with them good enough. Like I make these into big productions, and they're so easy for everyone else. But maybe it just looks different for
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So that was the point.
I love that.
That was a good wrap up. I mean,
No, for real though.
we even continue. That's the end of the podcast.
Not you hosting the podcast.
Choose your own adventure.
I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, let me keep my mouth shut to the end.
That's
No, please take
Yes.
that's
we
choose
love
your
it.
own adventure.
That
for
is
you.
yes.
I feel like that's an episode there.
That
for you.
is.
All right. Okay.
A solid episode.
Solid.
Thank you for guest starring.
Yes,
with us.
thank
Thank
you.
Yeah.
This was
Thanks
fun.
for showing up and showing out
You know,
as
whenever.
usual. So remember, comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends.
Subscribe.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Love y'all.